unmute himself also.
Yeah, yeah. I'll just. Sir, you're not audible.
Yeah, yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Good
Absolutely.
afternoon,
Yes.
all of you. Good afternoon.
Good
Good afternoon,
afternoon.
sir. You're
I'm sorry I'm a little late to join.
No, sir. It's absolutely okay. We understand technology sometimes fails us all.
Yeah.
A very warm welcome to you, sir. We'll just begin in a minute or so.
Thank
Everybody
you.
is joining in, so we're just adding people, and we'll begin in a minute, sir.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir,
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank you. अनुराधा जी को नमस्कार. Dr. Anuradha Gupta is also there.
Yes, sir, she is here, but I don't think she has unmuted herself.
जयदीप सर नमस्कार.
नमस्कार पूनम जी.
सर नमस्कार. प्रदीप राय.
नमस्कार प्रदीप जी.
प्रदीप जी नमस्कार.
नमस्कार सभी को नमस्कार. अनुराधा गुप्ता मैडम को भी नमस्कार.
हाँ, मैं भी अनुराधा जी को नमस्कार कर रहा था.
नमस्कार जी. नमस्कार.
नमस्कार मैडम.
रजनी मैम नमस्कार.
नमस्कार बहुत बहुत. शीना.
Gee, I think everybody has. Yeah. Yeah, I think everybody has joined us very kindly. So I think we can begin with the webinar. I welcome all of you who have gathered us, who have managed to join us today. In case my voice is not audible, please let me know. Otherwise, I think we can just begin with the webinar. So once again, good afternoon and a very warm welcome to all of you. I would request Sana to kindly take over.
Yeah,
Sana?
thank you so much, ma'am. Am I audible properly?
Yeah. Absolutely, Sana.
Good afternoon. We have gathered today for the national webinar on plagiarism, issues and challenges. This webinar is the brainchild of Vivekananda College Library and the internal quality assurance cell of the college. We are pleased and honored to collaborate with the Indian Library Association for today's event. ILA is known for its contribution to the betterment of the library and information science profession and professionals in the country. I, Sana Obed, would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you. Now, I would like to request our officiating principal, Dr. Hina Nandrajo, to kindly address and say a few words.
Good afternoon. I'm extremely pleased to welcome you, Professor Sharma, to this agreeing to this session and to speak to us. I start on a slightly sad note. Our coordinator for IQAC of the college, Dr. Vanita Sondhi, lost her mother last evening, and she's not able to join us. But we are going ahead with the program and keeping with the spirit that she always imbues. The topic that we have chosen and that you're going to speak on is exceedingly important to all of us as researchers and scholars. It's a basic issue of ethics. And I think that is the starting point of what we learn as we grow up and the value that we imbibe. To know how is it that we have to think imaginatively, we have to think creatively, we have to understand other great thinkers in our own fields, and yet to be able to assimilate all that knowledge and be able to also create something new from that. And I think what you are going to talk about, how we, when we are researching as scholars, we look at different sources, we source our material from different texts, and yet we need to create something new out of that and not just a rehash of the old ideas, and also not to try and pass that off as our own original thinking. So there are issues of scholarship, there are issues of understanding, there are issues of how we intellectually assimilate information, but most of all, there are issues related to ethics. How do we view ourselves as a scholar? Do we wish to pass off what we have learned as our own, or do we have the confidence, do we have the understanding to learn from what what there is, and then to move beyond? So I'm hoping that we will be more enlightened after your lecture, and I look forward to listening to you, sir. Welcome, and thank you for agreeing for this talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, I request a respected librarian, Dr. Rajni Jindal ma'am, to say a few words.
A very good afternoon, one and all. Now, during these COVID times, we are meeting virtually and celebrating the Radhika Amrit Mahotsav. I, on behalf of Vivekananda College Library, extend a very warm welcome to Dr. Jaideep Sharma sir, Professor Evening, Dr. Pradeep Rai sir, Senior Vice President, Indian Library Association and Librarian, Macquarie College, and our principal. Dr. Jaideep Sharma sir has taken time out of his schedule to apprise us about the plagiarism, measures to be taken, and to answer our queries on the same. Sir, we are very grateful and honored to have you here. Dr. Pradeep Rai sir has been a facilitator in organizing this webinar on national level in collaboration with the Indian Library Association, and he also helped us in finalizing the resource person and inviting him, and very graciously he gave his consent. And next, I would like to thank our principal ma'am, who always supports library in all our endeavors. And in this webinar organization also, she has helped us immensely by including IQAC. I also welcome all the participants and academic community from the bottom of my heart who have joined us from various arenas to understand the hot topic, plagiarism. So without taking much of time, it's over to Sheena.
Do we
Thank
have
you.
Pradeep sir with us? Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, Hina ma'am and Rajni ma'am, for saying these kind words. And I think we can begin with the program now. Do we have Pradeep sir with us?
Yes,
Pradeep sir?
we have.
Yeah. Sana, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for addressing the audience, ma'am. Today, we have with us Dr. Pradeep Rai, Senior Vice President, ILA. Sir is working as librarian at Macquarie College, University of Delhi. He was EC member of Indian Library Association from 2011 to 2013 and Journal Secretary from 2013 to 2019. And presently, he is the Senior Vice President at ILA. We are delighted to have Sir as a guest of honor. Sir, we request you to kindly address the audience.
Good afternoon to all of you. And it is very difficult to speak before my mentor, Professor Jaideep Sharma. I am the first scholar, did my PhD under him. But anyway, and today's topic is, as we all know, Sir is going to cover regarding the plagiarism. As we all know, the information and communication technology has revolutionized the whole world, and the academic fraternity is no exception to this. And being the academic fraternity persons, it is our responsibility to do the research, to say, to create new things and share our ideas to the students, to the researchers, to the faculty members, but with the ethical ways, as well as whatever we are going to produce, that may not be the new one, or that may not be the new invention, but that must be on the basis of the ethical writing purpose. As we all know, the University Grants Commission has given the regulation on promotion of academic integrity and prevention of plagiarism in higher education institution in the year of 2018. I am adding this thing. Earlier also, the research or whatever writing was there, that was duly recognized with the references and bibliographies. But now the time has come, we have to follow some guidelines regarding having to what type of things we can take and what type of things we have to refer one. And one of the area is the Creative Commons. We are using the open access resources nowadays, so we have to go through the Creative Commons, and all these symbols are given on the websites, blogs. I want to share one reference, that is the NISCARE. I'm sharing my screen for just a while. And my screen is, I think, visible, Rajni ma'am.
So not as of now. Could you please do that once again, maybe?
Sir, it is not visible yet.
Yeah.
I think now it is visible.
No, sir. No, sir.
No, sir. It's not visible as of now.
But my screen is showing you are sharing this one. But anyway, my main concern is to give you the idea. Each and every site is having the license of Creative Commons, and it shows it is basically 6 types. So they have given the details what type of material you can use, and for non-commercial purpose, and how much you can some of the things you cannot change, just you can refer. So we have to do research, we have to refer articles, whatever may be the type, we have to give the references in the ethical way, and it will serve the purpose, as well as our ideas will also give to the concept, or give to the we can say the research basis for other writers. So this is from my end. I think all the details regarding the plagiarism and its issues and checking, like that, we in colleges are using the Orkun facilities for plagiarism checking, basically for the faculty members, and in case of the students projects, etc. So all these things, I think Professor Jaideep Sharma is going to cover in his lecture. So this is from my end, and thank you very much, Rajni ma'am, for giving me the opportunity to sharing my views. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We are grateful to you.
Thank you, sir. We would also like to welcome and express our gratitude to Dr. Jaideep, sir, for accepting our invitation to be the resource person for today's event. Dr. Jaideep Sharma is working as a professor at IGNOU, Delhi. He holds a PhD in Library and Information Science from Sambalpur University, Orissa. Sir has worked as University Librarian in Charge, IGNOU, from January 2014 to June 2018. We are extremely grateful to have Dr. Jaideep Sharma, sir, with us today. Sir, I request you to kindly grace the audience with your talk.
I want to add one more thing about Professor Jaideep Sharma. He has started his career from Vivekanand College Library only.
Sir, we have come to know about it from Pradeep, sir. And my staff, the old staff, was telling me that sir has worked in the Vivekananda College Library. And we welcome you more now.
We welcome you back actually now.
Right.
Thank you all. A very good evening to all of you. Dr. Hina Nandraj Jog, Principal, Vivekanand College. Dr. Sheena Lama, Dr. Rajni Jindal, Sana, my dear friend Dr. Pradeep, and Madam Dr. Anuradha Gupta. It was only due to Madam Dr. Anuradha Gupta that I could serve the college for 1 year, because she was on study leave for her PhD, and I joined the college in her place. And had she not gone on study leave, I would not have got the opportunity to serve the college for 1 year. So it was during her absence that I was given a chance to work in the college. So many thanks to her and to the college. And I think that was the first the pedestal that I got to join Kurukshetra University and serve there as a teacher. I remember the principal had asked me to continue, not to join Kurukshetra University. She said, we have provision for you, so don't worry. Because I was working in ad hoc position, she says, we'll make you permanent and you keep continuing here. But then I said, no, I would like to move out to Kurukshetra University teaching post. And very happily, she allowed me to leave. I was given a grand farewell in the college. And I will always remember that farewell party wherein the principal also joined. And I have happy memories of having worked in the college. I remember the college was one of the best colleges in the university. The library was one of the best libraries in the university. I always, I think that experience helped me to work in my career further. And it was working there for 14 long years that I joined IGNOU. And since 2003, I've been working here in distance mode. But then, whether it was in face-to-face mode or in distance mode, my first exposure to working in an educational institution was Vivekananda College. So that I am always thankful to the college to have given me an opportunity to work there and learn from my work there. I have happy memories to have worked with my colleagues in the library. I think almost all of them have superannuated by now. Maybe one or two are still there. They were quite senior to me in age, but then I was given an opportunity and they gave me the motivation and they also guided me and I could work along with them all. My thanks to all of them. In case some of them is still there, I think in case they are connected, my thanks to them. So the topic that we are supposed to discuss today is a very interesting topic. It's the hot topic today. We all have said also, we all agree also. It at times gives jitters to us, and I believe the library is playing its role in the college. But then I'll try to add in here and there. Maybe I bring to notice to all to your notice to all of you certain things which, with experience and discussion with people who have been involved in plagiarism, not doing plagiarism, but trying to help overcome the plagiarism, that it is their views, the literature that I have read, and also my experience with my research scholars and others. It is on the basis of all that I'll be speaking today. My thanks to all of them, particularly my colleagues here in IGNOU library also. My friend in the library, he says that he has till date examined 1600 theses, 1600 PhD theses. He said he has done the plagiarism test and he shared his experiences of doing that for our PhD scholars. So that also has been a great help. My thanks to him also for enlightening me on certain things. So let me share my slides with you all. I hope you will give me just 1 second. Is that visible to you all?
Yes, sir.
My slides.
Yes, sir.
Plagiarism,
Absolutely.
yeah. Plagiarism issues and challenges. So in case you feel like you can, wherever you feel, you can stop and we'll discuss. So is it moving? Slides are moving?
So it's not moving as of now. Yeah, it's
No?
moving now, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, the importance of the topic, just for the stressing the importance, I would like to present before you the statistics of PhD in India. Though a little dated, but even today I try to update it. But this is the figures that I got. This is one of the most recent figures that is there. And it shows quite a number of PhD registered in the country. And see, the almost 1.5 lakh PhDs are awarded in the country. So it's a huge figure as far as research is concerned. So we are witnessing a lot of research in India. And plagiarism. Let us start with the definition of plagiarism. It says that if creations of others are used and presented as one's own, it amounts to plagiarism. Very simple definition. That I say I produce some literature and I say I have done it, then it is plagiarism. That means whenever we produce something, whenever we write, whenever we create something, there is a basis for it. And if we do not acknowledge that basis, if we do not mention that what forms the base of that, then that is plagiarism. So very simple. So I read before you another definition. The reference for that I have already given. The wrongful appropriation, purloining, publishing, expressing, or taking as one's own the thoughts, writings, inventions, or ideas. The ideas could be literary, artistic, musical, mechanical, etc. of another. That is what is plagiarism. So you can see very well in the definition, it's quite an exhaustive definition, and it mentions that it is not only published material, but it is also thoughts. So please be careful that when we talk of plagiarism, it may not always be only something which has been published or documented. It could also be thoughts, ideas. So, and this, when you talk of ideas, these could be literary, artistic, musical, mechanical, etc. So this is how it has been defined, plagiarism. Now, that always comes to our mind, as I was mentioning, reading out that definition, that whether ideas are also, borrowing ideas also is plagiarism. Yes, it is plagiarism. So that means one should be very true that as I accepted in the very beginning, that I even had a discussion yesterday also with my colleague in the library, and that helped me to clear certain things and also sharpen some things about the concept. So I would like to bring before you the UGC notification, as Dr. Pradeep has just now mentioned, on July 23, 2018. This was published, and here this is promotion of academic integrity and prevention of plagiarism in higher education institutions. This is a gazette has been published. I will show you a screenshot also, which again, it also defines plagiarism as the practice of taking someone else's work or idea. Again, they have also stressed idea. That is why I have put it in red, and passing them as one's own. So this definition also mentions about this. So this plagiarism could be intentional, it could be unintentional, or it could be accidental. As we all know, many of us are really do not have any idea of what is plagiarism. So it could be unintentional. It could also be accidental. So when we are not really aware of that this is plagiarism, we really are aware of what is referencing, what is citing, and why do we do that, then it amounts to unintentional plagiarism. Or if we really know that, but still while reporting some literature or mentioning certain things, we do not acknowledge, we do not attribute, we do not refer to, it is called accidental plagiarism. But then if it is done intentionally, then it could be cut and paste. We are trying to follow shortcut methods. We have been unethical. We have been doing it in an immoral way. We are trying to do it fast, and there are certain aims that we want to achieve, and doing it the easy way out. Then, as it is happening these days, due to it may be peer pressure, it may be just being on the top, trying to have publications in a very short time, then this becomes intentional plagiarism. I remember when I started my career as a teacher, one of a senior professor said that you try publishing 2 papers a year. That was the standard. That was the objective that he put before me. So 2 papers a year, and that too, particularly he says that try to do it during 2 vacations and keep preparing for it, and publish one during mid-year and the other one during the end of the year. So, but nowadays you see how people keep accumulating papers. So I think that could be done when you are doing some such immoral practices. So what happens when, what do we do when we say it is plagiarism? We may be copying verbatim from others. and we are copying and not referencing. Even copying from our own works is plagiarism. That is called self-plagiarism. People don't believe it. We think that it's a matter of right that we can mention our own, we can reuse our own material. What we have said somewhere else can be said again, but then it has to be attributed, it has to be acknowledged. We have to follow rules of ethical presentation. So that again is very important. So if it is done, it is called self-plagiarism. Wrong referencing to the original. We have referred to the source which we have used, but we have not followed the standard. We have not followed a standard practice. If it is done so, that also is plagiarism. So these are different types of plagiarism which happen. So why do we plagiarize? We have just said that there is a pressure to publish, that too in well-known journals. We are not an expert. We do not know the area, but we believe that we should publish in this area. This is the talk of the town. People want us to publish on this particular theme. We are not an expert. We cannot produce a paper, but we want to do it. Then what do? We just read here and there, and we just prepare hurriedly something, and therefore incompetence. We may not be competent in the subject. We may not be good at language. We may be doing it very fast. We have not planned it. Planning is very important. Whenever planning is important in any activity that we do, and it is all the more important when we are doing research. So we have to think of a plan. You all know that we have to prepare a synopsis, and it is done in a standardized way where we also talk about how we will go about. We have a timeline schedule also, and therefore planning is very important. And when we publish a paper, we do not have a timeline, we do not have a plan of action. I think what comes out of it is may be having plagiarism. We do not know that if we do plagiarism, what is going to happen. I'll tell about you all that in case we commit plagiarism, if we plagiarize, what are the consequences? What we are going to face as individuals, as part of an institution, as part of a profession, we have to suffer. That we should know. Lack of institutional mechanism to take action against cases of plagiarism. But now this is not true. These days, there are institutional mechanisms. University Grants Commission has guided us, not only for people like us who are under UGC, but other institutions also, R&D institutions, other bodies, they also have framed guidelines. Then what has to be done against those who plagiarize? So therefore, this should not be done. Now these pressures that are there, which we take as pressures and commit this, these could be informal pressures or could be formal pressures. Informal means to earn recognition, respect, status, to get some funds. And formal means we want to get good employment, we want to earn promotion. All these are the reasons for plagiarism. Consequences, I just now said that we do not know, but then there are consequences. If we publish a paper in a journal and we want to publish in a good journal, we want to publish in the area which is most recent, most current, and if we do this plagiarism, then if we are an author, we are a creator, we will suffer. If we are a reviewer and we pass such a piece of literature as original, we will also suffer. Editor also suffers. In case it is in a conference proceeding, the conference chair or the organizer of the conference, and also the employer, the person who employs us, and research as an institution itself, it also suffers. So plagiarism is something that is going to affect one and all. So not only we as individuals who are doing it, but then we have just seen that all those bodies to which we are attached, they are all sufferers of due to plagiarism. This was just a recent news clipping that was passed on to me by Dr. Pradeep Rai, and just I think 15 days back only, he WhatsApped me this, that the UGC is thinking of coming up with more stricter measures to curb plagiarism. And here, the consequences will not only be for the researchers but also their supervisors. So we have to be very cautious that we should not get into this trap of plagiarism. And we all see that this University Grants Commission has asked institutions to have their own institutional academic integrity panels, and they will impose penalty considering the severity of the plagiarism. In case the plagiarism is within 10%, then this is called a minor similarity. There is no penalty for that. So if it is within 10%, it's admissible. But personally, I believe it should be, I believe it can be, there should be no plagiarism. We should have a zero tolerance policy towards plagiarism. And I think with time, this will happen one day. But then right now, this is the norm. It should be within 10%. The next level is level 1, which says that similarity is above 10%, but up to 40%. If such a scholar, a PhD student, whose thesis is found to have within 40% of plagiarism, such a person, student or researcher, will be asked to submit a revised script within a stipulated time period not exceeding 6 months. So if you are a PhD scholar and your thesis has this much plagiarism up to 40%, then within 6 months you have to revise it and submit it again. I just wanted to bring before you the consequences that are there, which UGC has given guidelines for. If it is 40% to 60%, then as a researcher, you will be debarred from submitting a revised script for a period of 1 year. So after 1 year only, you can submit your PhD thesis. So that is what we have to face. But if it is more than 60%, then our PhD registration or MPhil registration will be cancelled. So this I wanted to bring to your kind notice that please be sure that our plagiarism should be as low as possible. And if it is within 10%, it's fine. But above that, it is there, then we have to face the consequences. We'll be penalized for that. Now, not only in thesis, if as academics, if as teachers, we produce papers, there also we have to take care about this plagiarism. Every journal has its own policies, and we have to adhere to those policies. And mostly in learned periodicals, they have also kept the limits of 10%. But then the University Grants Commission too has given guidelines here for research publications, and they say that the similarity should be within 10%. And if it is within 10%, there is no penalty. So again, like a PhD thesis, here also it has to be within 10%. Level 1, if the similarity is above 10% and up to 40%, then one may be asked to withdraw the manuscript. So this is the next level. And if it is 40 to 60%, we may have to withdraw the manuscript, and also we will be denied a right to 1 annual increment. So this is another. So if it is up to 40%, we have to withdraw. It will not be published. We cannot revise. But if it is 40 to 60, we will not only have to withdraw it, but will not be given 1 annual increment. Moreover, will not be allowed to supervise a master's, MPhil, or PhD student for a period of 2 years. So that means there are consequences in terms of financial loss also, and also academic loss also. So for 2 years, we will not be able to guide a student, not only MPhil, PhD, but masters also, and we will lose the right to increment also. Okay. If it is above 60%, again, we'll have to withdraw the manuscript, and also shall be denied a right to 2 annual increments twice, and will not be able to supervise a MPhil, master's, MPhil, or PhD scholar for a period of 3 years. So, that too is a loss, not only a loss in terms of our academic credentials, but also it is a financial loss also, because these days supervising PhD also helps in earning the credits for further promotion. So this is just to bring to your notice that in case we are involved in plagiarism, will be sufferers, and these are these. Now, another, they have said, in case a person is found to do it repeatedly, if not once, if more than once we are caught doing plagiarism, then we'll be asked to withdraw manuscript, and we shall be punished for the plagiarism of one level higher. Higher means if it is 10 to 40%, it is 40 up to 40%, the punishment will be for 60%. So therefore, repeated plagiarism is all the more dangerous. Therefore, we have to see that we should not do it. And in case it is level 3 offense, then again rules will be there and will be suspended or punished. And that bodies are there at the level of the department, at the level of the university, and there is a representation of senior professors of the department of the university and also external members. So they take a decision on the basis of seeing the gravity of the mistake that we have committed. So, one thing more. This slide, if you see, that in case we have done our PhD, a PhD has been awarded, or article has been published, later on it is noticed that we have committed this, there is plagiarism in our work, then also we will be penalized. So that also we should take care that it is not that we did it, it could not come to the notice of people, but then later on also it will be there. Therefore, we should try to avoid this. Now, how to avoid plagiarism? I'll go a little hurriedly, but because these things most of us know, but then I would like to repeat, because if we have forgotten that, then only I think we are in problem. We are really not following what we have been taught. Now you know that whenever we produce something, whenever we write, whenever we create something, whenever we produce new knowledge, there is always a base for that. And that base is knowledge which is there in public domain. We could also utilize the knowledge in private domain also. As I mentioned, that we can talk to people, we can learn from them, we can have personal communication with people, we can attend lectures, and also there is documented knowledge in the form of books, journals, and whatnot. These days, that is not an issue. We have too much of knowledge and information around us. It depends on us how we receive from it. So these ideas that are there, these are free. There are no barriers. Knowledge does not know any barriers. And moreover, these days, we are working in the domain of open knowledge, open access. So that is not an issue. So whenever we want to produce something, that base that is required, that knowledge, information that is required is always there. So need not to worry on that. But then what we have to worry about, what we have to think about is that what is the base, what we are utilizing should be credited, should be attributed to, should be acknowledged when used. But then what we make use of, if it is facts, if it is common knowledge, then we need not to refer. Common knowledge means everyone knows it. It is available everywhere. It is so obvious today that we say it is common knowledge. You don't, there is no reflection of any opinion there. This has become a fact that need not be referred. So if that is there and we are not referring, then this is not plagiarism. Otherwise, it is plagiarism. We all know that any research that we do, it starts with literature search. And I told you just now, a while ago, that literature is not an issue today. we have too much of it around us. We have libraries, we have digital libraries, we have databases, we have full text databases, we have databases of thesis. So anything you want, it is available. It may be available free, it may be a paid service, but then the openness in literature is really helping. Much of it is free, whether it is learned journals, it is text material, it is textbooks, it is course material, it is lectures, it is slides, and knowledge in any form, it is available easily. There are efforts on the part of individuals and institutions to make it available for one and all. We are working in the knowledge society, in the information society, where one of the aims of this society is to provide democratic access to knowledge and information. They are trying to overcome the barriers that are there, and we can very well experience it is happening. So while we do literature search, we may need help of peers and experts. And here, when we are doing our PhD, it is our supervisor, it is the department, it is the people specializing in that area. It is not only in our department, in our university, we can identify people elsewhere also, and we can seek guidance from them. We can ask for their papers, we can seek clarifications. So all this is there. Beside that, there are documentary sources, and these could be published in printed form or electronic form. These could be primary, secondary, tertiary. These could be toll access. These could be open access. These could be ebooks. It could be e-journals, databases, and whatnot. These could be thesis, dissertations. It could also be grey literature. So literature is available, and there is no limit to that. So, but then we should be having a direction. That is why I began with peers and experts. So that conceptual clarity is very much required. The mapping of the different concepts that are involved should be the first step towards it. And it is only after we are very clear about the topic, about the relationship among the different themes and sub-themes, that we can really think of what we really want, what literature we want. And then we try to find out the different sources of literature and try to narrow down what are these sources that are really core for us, without which we cannot do. Then we have also to think of a time limit, because we cannot just go on searching here and there. So it has to be a very systematic search of literature. And whenever we are doing research, we all know it has to be exhaustive search. Therefore, we should not miss anything. And particularly in the narrow area which we have focused on. So we should be able to lay hands on all this literature. And it is here that people who specialize in this literature, the library information science professionals, would come to our help, and we can seek their guidance in that. But then these days, there are many tools available which can come to our help. So literature search is the first step in doing research. After having collected literature, we have to do a comprehensive literature review. This shows us the direction. Review of literature is very important. It begins with searching the topic for the literature on which we are going to work, and it will go on till the end when we produce a report. So this review of literature is very important. So starting with the background information, where we tend to clarify our thoughts on the theory and philosophy of the subject, conceptual information, status, etc. That is very important. So we have to be very clear about this background information. Then we have to do research. Therefore, we have to think of the type of research we are doing, the research tools that we require, the techniques that we will adopt, research papers we have to read on that, opinion papers, and whatnot. So literature review has to be done very consciously and very systematically in a planned way. This review of literature, generally it is seen that when we do that, it is like an add-on to a research work, to a thesis. We do it for the sake of a chapter on review of literature. It is not an integrated part of our research. That is the missing link in any thesis that we see. And that is one of the main reasons for plagiarism that happens. that this is the first and foremost important part of any research, because it is the literature that guides us. It is the literature that shows us where is that gap. It is the literature that prepares us for writing that expert piece of literature that we are going to produce, whether it is a thesis or an article or any other such piece of literature. Therefore, these steps that I tried to write down, jot down here, this is the process. You may like to improve upon it, you may add here and there, but then this is broadly what we do. And generally, we are not doing that. With the technology that we have today, we all can very easily copy, paste, and that is what we do. And that this is how we fall into the trap of plagiarism. Basically, the process, particularly for my young friends who are here listening to me, I hope I am audible to all of you.
Yes,
I
sir.
audible?
Absolutely audible, sir.
Yeah. So beginning with reading the piece of literature, understanding, thinking, reflecting upon it, imagining, analyzing, and synthesizing. This is all how we do. I may have missed some steps, but broadly, this is what we do when we produce some literature. So this is very important that we go through all these steps, and I think this is what helps us to produce original literature. It is not that we open up the literature here and there around us in soft copy or hard copy and make down some markings here and there and note down in a piece of paper and produce something which we think this can be attributed to us. No, this is not the way. It is this which we should follow. That when it is reading, understanding, thinking and reflecting, imagining, this will help us to produce something new. This will help us to give a critical view of things. So I think we should follow this procedure, these steps. Note taking on the sides, we all know it is there. Whether it is doing in a electronic copy or a hard copy, this really helps us to go through all that process, adding here and there as it comes to our mind, adding critiques here and there, giving our opinion, not agreeing with what the author says, maybe producing, adding a new perspective to it. I think this is how we do it. These days we are talking of innovation. We are talking of ways thinking in a new way, adding new things. I think we should be very consciously doing it. It should become a way of life. It should become a normal practice for us, comparing and contrasting different authors' viewpoint on different subjects. So I think this is how we can produce a good piece of literature, a piece of literature that is really expected of us. Preparing a draft, once having done all that, we should prepare a draft, identify the themes and sub-themes, prepare a draft on our own, not looking into the literature back now, what we have already read and gone through that process. Now we have it here inside. This is the intellectual process that we are going through. These side marks, additions, and critiques that we have done would help us to produce it. While we are doing it, we have taken it from the views of others. We should keep adding citations here and there. And where we feel that the original source cannot be replaced, the person has written it so well that I would like to put it in the words of the person. I take it as quotes from there. But excessive quotes is not good. Then it is almost like reproducing others. Therefore, in case you cannot really think of putting it in any other way, you should use it as quotes. And while we are doing it, we should append references at the end. That is very important. Once we have done that, this is a rough draft. Now it has to be finalized. So while finalizing, we have to show it to our guide, to our teachers, to our seniors, to our peers. This is very important because while we are doing it, it's one's own individual views only. But then it has to be further going through different views, therefore, which we are not able to do it ourselves. To see the gaps, to know other viewpoints, we have to show the draft to others and we have to do number of readings to it. Now, after having done that, we should be very clear that we have avoided plagiarism because we have referred to it properly. We have paraphrased. See, paraphrasing doesn't mean that we we just read the text and try to put it in an indirect way, passive way, active way. That is not paraphrasing, because very clearly it has been mentioned in literature on plagiarism that replacing words and here and there, it amounts to plagiarism. So when you say paraphrasing, it is paraphrasing of ideas, it is paraphrasing of thoughts. It's not paraphrasing of sentences, because these days it has been observed that to avoid plagiarism, we tend to change words here and there, and that really that is not plagiarism. I would like to caution you all, I would like to tell you all that the plagiarism software, it brings to light all these things and it is taken as plagiarism. These days, as Dr. Pradeep Rai was mentioning about Creative Commons, we have material which is available in open access under Creative Commons licenses. But then, as an author, as a person who is creating something, we should remember one thing, that we should always acknowledge, we should also refer, we should always quote. So, as I was mentioning to you, that while paraphrasing, we should take care. There are paraphrasing software also these days that help us to paraphrase, because at times we feel that we are not good at a language. These help us. Technology is there to help us, but I should tell you that we should be able to decide, we should be able to evaluate that whether it is doing it rightly or not. As I mentioned here before you, some examples wherein I have tried to use a paraphrasing software, but the meaning of what I have done changes by using this. So paraphrasing software may help us, but we should not take it as a final goal. So this certain examples are here for you, but then it may help us, but then we should be good at the language also. Referencing is very important. There are different standards for referencing, and if we do not follow the referencing standards properly, if these have not been done the way it should be done, it amounts to plagiarism. The software identifies it as plagiarism. These days, we have automated tools available for that, and we can make use of those tools also. But then, whether we make use of a tool or we do it manually, it should be done in a standard way. And therefore, if it is not done in a standard way, whether we have mentioned the reference in a different way or we have put the in-text citation in a different way, you all know there are different practices. At times we do it as 1, 2, 3. We put it as an asterisk, superscript, or we do it alphabetically. We put it in brackets. We put comma and year after the brackets. Whatever way we do, we should do it that way. Whether we have to put footnotes or not, if we are not following the practice standard throughout, then this will be shown as plagiarism. So therefore, referencing, to learn referencing is very important. Now there are different plagiarism detection software. These are free also and paid also. So large number of software are there, but you all know that we all under University Grants Commission, we have been provided the software Urkon, which is really helpful to all of us, and we are all making use of that. There are many others which we can use anyone, but then in case some software has been recommended, whether by the UGC or by the journal or by any institution, we have to follow that. We should be very clear that these software do not detect plagiarism. They detect the extent of matching. So it is not a plagiarism detection software. It is a text matching software. We call it as a plagiarism detection software, but it is a text matching software. Therefore, it matches the text, and we have to analyze that, how it matches, what it says. We have to take a decision. Human intervention is required. So this, it says that UGC notification, again, it guides us that while doing the plagiarism check, what we have to do. It says that while doing plagiarism check, the following have to be excluded. Like quoted works, if they have been taken, you have taken permission or you have done it properly, they can be avoided. References, bibliography, table of content, preface and acknowledgements, these can all be avoided. All generic terms, laws, standard symbols, standard equations can be left out. Now, moving further, as I mentioned, quotes, references, and limits, we have already seen. Word limit, it says 14 words at a stretch. UGC has mentioned that. That is allowed. That means beyond 14 words, it should not be there. Otherwise, it has to be in quotes. So this is what it says, which I have just mentioned right now. Research this, I wanted to bring to your notice that a common knowledge or coincidental terms, they can be avoided. Like I mentioned 14 words. So this is, one should know this. I was just trying to mention about the Urkund. You know, I took this from Urkund's manual. It says it is a completely automated system against plagiarism. So this we have to be very clear that it doesn't detect plagiarism, but it is a software against plagiarism. It says it checks all documents against three central source areas. And what are these? Internet, published material, and previously submitted student material. It could be case studies, examination work, memoranda. So whatever we test in Urkund, it goes at the database, and that forms a database of the Urkund. It says it never determines what is plagiarism. That the report that we provides to you has to be examined by the teacher. Okay, so it has to be done there. So if our supervisor has to see and take a decision on that, so Urkund doesn't tell us that this is the plagiarism. We have to analyze, and not as researchers ourselves. Our supervisors have to take a decision on that. That is why we say that the role of supervisor is very important when you talk of plagiarism. Moving further, see this, I have put it in quotes. It says Urkund compares text similarity and subject similarity also. See, this we have to be viewing this with caution, that not only words, subject also. So if we try to change here and there, we try to paraphrase here and there, it catches that. So this, I have intentionally put it in bold for you, that it also catches subject similarity. It says that it is thus possible that there will be hits in your documents even if you have reworded a text and used synonyms. Therefore, the examiner or the supervisor or anyone who really sees the analysis will be able to catch hold of us. I think there are institutional mechanisms. I'll go a little fast. I'll give you time to interact and give your views. And we, all bodies nowadays and international efforts, we are having efforts to overcome plagiarism. And here the Committee on Publication Ethics is there. UGC has also mentioned of this, and it gives us guidelines on how to really move so that we are not doing plagiarism. There are all publishers are members of this, and similarly the institutionals are also making efforts. Like this is the website of JNU Library. This also guides us on plagiarism, how to avoid plagiarism. Similarly, University of Delhi has also guided us. So you can visit institutions which tell us how to avoid plagiarism. There are umpteen number of such examples which I can show you. There are online courses also, and these days on PhD also we have coursework wherein we are taught about how to avoid research misconduct. So these are some of the cases that are there, and I think I'll stop here. I'll stop sharing, and I'll give you time to discuss and ask questions in case you have, or give your own opinions. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for this insightful session. We have had a very wholesome experience, starting from the definition of plagiarism to the measures taken against it, UGC guidelines to prevent plagiarism, and talking about similarity index levels, how to approach literature review, and much more. We couldn't have asked for more, I believe. Us as scholars and academicians, I think this information that you shared with us is going to go a very long way, and is definitely going to be highly helpful for all of us. We would now request you to kindly take up some questions from the audience. Meanwhile, I will post the link to fill up the feedback form, and that form is mandatory for all the participants to kindly fill up. I'll post it in the chat box, and meanwhile sir can take up your questions or your observations, anything. So do we have any doubts, questions, and observations coming from the audience? I believe that somebody has already very enthusiastically posted something. The question, sir, comes from Library Lady Irwin College, and the question is there any limit to how much of quoted text is to be excluded?
See, for authors, I would like to tell you, for the creators, the more you quote, the less you produce. Quoting means it is like compiling. So I mentioned while discussing also that it's only where we feel that yes, it is required in the form like that, then only we should quote. There is mention that we can put it in quotes, and in case it is not in quotes, 14 words at a stretch can be used. This is how UGC has mentioned. But personally, I believe that quotes should be as less as possible. And there is no such rule as far as quotes is concerned. But then in case for that, there is a rule of how do we present these quotes. If it is 40 words, it has to be in double quotes. If it is more than 40, then you indent it inside. So the person who is analyzing can take care of all these things. But as a researcher, I would mention, it's my personal opinion, there is no such thing in the literature which mentions of how much can we quote or how much we cannot quote. But the general guideline is that we should not keep on quoting. Keep on quoting means we are just reproducing of what others have said. At times we are producing a critique, then that critique has to be mentioned, then we write a commentary on that. But otherwise, quoting is not generally preferred. Madam Anuradha ji kuch keh rahi hai.
Thank
She
you
wants
so
to ask.
yeah, thank you so much, sir. I think Rajni ma'am and Anuradha ma'am both have raised their hands. Could we take Anuradha ma'am first and then Rajni ma'am? Anuradha ma'am, please.
Good
Uh,
afternoon. Good afternoon to all the participants and dignitaries. The topic taken today is a very important and very serious issue. And I think it is coming since time immemorial in academic scenario. It is said that Kalidas was copied by Wordsworth. I don't know how far it is true, but it is said regarding plagiarism. And I remember that once I attended IFLA subcommittee members on plagiarism in 1992 international conference, and I raised an issue where my own article gave birth to one research paper, but rather thesis. So I raised this, how can we say it as plagiarism or not? And research degree was given to the person. Then I was given the clarification that ideas can be copied and not the text. That means language should be different, but idea can be copied. But I believe that idea is the only thing which creates a research or which creates a finding of the paper. And Munish Raja, Professor Munish Raja on this issue said that one book and one reader makes a third book. So there is a deep relationship between literature and researchers. Researchers have to do research after literature survey, and they have to go through all the literature. But the thing is that where from they pick up the idea and how they are utilizing, that is a matter of concern. If the same idea is kept in a different language, that is plagiarism, I feel it. But there is no solution found till date. And in the world of this IT era, copy and paste is so prominent that children from the school age, whatever they have to write, even they don't write essay in their own words, they just copy and paste. And this has been very common. And so many softwares are there, so many methods are there. But the thing is that issue remains somewhere or else. And I think it cannot be solved completely, but we always try, and documentation, etc., is there, bibliographical reference is there. But those who use plagiarism, they don't give the reference also. So it is very difficult to find out, because literature is also vast. And publishing platforms are various in various formats. So it is very difficult to catch and to find how far the things are copied. But it is happening. But the thing is that we have to control, and we are always trying. So there was a very elaborate deliberation from you, Dr. Jagdeep ji, and I am very glad to find that you got a basic platform in the profession through our college. That is a matter of pride to Vivekanand. So it's good, and whatever a professional learns from the institution, I mean, they work in various institutions, and they learn also by the way of working. So this is not a new thing, but I'm glad that you liked it and you appreciated it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anuradha ma'am. We can take more questions, but before that, I'd like to apologize for the inconvenience. I think there is a slight issue with the feedback form. We're on the way to fix it. It will just take a minute or so. Meanwhile, we can have more questions. Rajni ma'am? I think Rajni ma'am has raised her hand. Ma'am, do you have something to say? Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to ask her, sir, being a librarian and doing the plagiarism check for the promotion process, तो उसमें जो रिपोर्ट आता है 4 और 5 वर्ड्स की भी अगर सिमिलैरिटी है तो वो उसमें प्लेजरिज्म में काउंट करता है. एज यू वर सेइंग कि 14 वर्ड्स तक है जो सिमिलैरिटी अगर आती है तो इट विल बी अंडर प्लेजरिज्म. बट ये 4 और 5 वर्ड्स का भी वो प्लेजरिज्म को उसमें शो करता है, तो हमको वो हटाना है, एक्सक्लूड करना है या नहीं करना, दैट आई वांट टू क्लियर. Sorry sir, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai. The 4 words are very common. If somebody has written in the paper Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai, तो वो उसको plagiarism में similarity index में count कर देता है.
That is text similarity.
Yeah.
So that is text similarity. I told you that the machine does that. We have to take a decision while analyzing. So if it says Hindu, Sikh, Muslim, Isai as plagiarism, then we do not have to consider it as plagiarism.
We can exclude them.
Yeah.
Okay. And one more question, sir, about the student assignment you were talking about. Many times the matching text shows student assignment, which cannot be displayed also. Then what we are supposed to do?
I didn't get you. What do you mean by it?
It shows the similarity as it tells us the similarity is from which source. Is it from the journal? Is it from the website or from the student assignment? So sometimes it comes as student assignment, but the contents are not accessible.
See, the basic rule is, as an author, we have to be, because if it is something which has not been published, and if we have used it, we should quote it, we should cite it. I have seen people citing to the extent of even saying that a discussion with so and so on this date. They refer to that also. That it is here that we say ideas. And I was very confused originally when I used to study this literature, whether ideas are covered under plagiarism or not. But now I'm very happy. Yes, it is seen here in literature. I have also presented to you, see what it says. It includes ideas also. So that doesn't mean that if it is not available in public domain, we should say it is mine. So even if it is an idea, we should attribute.
Okay.
Thank you so
Pradeep.
much. Thank you so much, ma'am, for these questions. I think Dr. Pradeep has also a question.
Just
Sir,
Nini, just before that, I'm sorry because this is a related question. I think what Rajni was trying to ask is कि अगर हमारा कोई article जाता है plagiarism check के लिए and it is showing some similarity of a student assignment, but that student assignment is not available and cannot be seen, then how do we exclude that because it's presumable that that student assignment came later?
Acha. Actually, officially, formally, if it has not been published, we can always exclude. But morally, I believe that in case there is something which is duplication, in case there is something which is already has been written by someone, we should always acknowledge. But then, if this is a matter of concern, but what you mentioned is that my article has been used by someone else. You meant, as I understand what you said is that your article has been used by someone and is a student assignment. I think in that case, it is the student who has plagiarized, not us.
I want to add in it, sir. Actually, whatever Rajni Jindal was asking, that is about the practical problems when we check the plagiarism through the Urkund software. Basically, Urkund software is now having the facility to give all these things covered through its database.
Yeah.
अगर मैंने अपने कॉलेज में एक स्टूडेंट असाइनमेंट स्टूडेंट प्रोजेक्ट उसको मैंने कर लिया और अगर रजनी जिंदल के वहां पे बाई चांस उसके 14 वर्ड्स 13 वर्ड्स चाहे उस स्टूडेंट ने ही उसका आर्टिकल कॉपी कर रखा है, अगर वो उसको वहां करेंगे तो वो स्टूडेंट आर्टिकल को दिखाएगा. देखिए मेरा ही आर्टिकल है 2011 में छपा, 2017 में किसी पर्सन ने मुझे मेरा रेफरेंस दिया, और अगर आज की डेट में मैं 2011 के आर्टिकल का प्लेजरिज्म चेक करूंगा तो मेरे आर्टिकल में इवन 2017 का प्लेजरिज्म दिखाएगा कि मैंने 2017 वाले को जो है ना यूज किया हुआ है, जबकि ऐसा नहीं है. ये जो है ना मशीन जो है आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस है. इन माय ओपिनियन दीज आर सम ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम्स. जैसा जयदीप सर ने बोला कि वो उस समय पे कॉल जो है ना सब्जेक्ट एक्सपर्ट की है, वो उसको देखेगा कि हिंदू मुस्लिम सिख ईसाई वो एक यूनिवर्सल ट्रूथ है, उसको हटाना है. तो ये प्रॉब्लम इस वजह से आ रही है उरकुंड में कि मैं जहां कर रहा हूं और फिर मैंने क्या किया कि मैंने मेल डाल के इगैलेटिक्स से उसको डेटाबेस से हटा दिया. डेटाबेस से वो पर्टिकुलर आर्टिकल तो हट गया, जब उस पर्टिकुलर असाइनमेंट को दोबारा करेंगे तो उसमें नहीं दिखाएगा वो प्लेजरिज्म, लेकिन अगर उसके डेटाबेस में रहेगा दूसरी जगह पे उसको शो करेगा. तो ये मशीन और कहना चाहिए सॉफ्टवेयर की जो ना प्रॉब्लम है. ह्यूमन माइंड होता है और ह्यूमन को रिप्लेस कोई सॉफ्टवेयर नहीं कर सकता.
देखिए सॉफ्टवेयर की कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, मैंने आपको पहले भी बताया और उरकुंड के मैंने मैनुअल से लिख के दिखाया आपको. इट्स नॉट ए प्लेजरिज्म सॉफ्टवेयर, इट इज ए सॉफ्टवेयर अगेंस्ट प्लेजरिज्म. इट इज ए टेक्स्ट डिटेक्शन सॉफ्टवेयर. It is for us to analyze. It is for the person who is doing it should understand that a article which was written in 2011 cannot plagiarize an article which has been written in 2017. So it is common sense. We should understand that. Personally, I believe that the role of the librarian is not to reduce plagiarism. The role of the librarian is to test the plagiarism. It is the researcher, it is the guide of the researcher, it is the author who should understand what is plagiarism in the article that he has submitted. The person should take a decision on it, and I think with time all these things will be resolved. We'll be used to producing literature which is plagiarism free. Yes, please.
Being a librarian, जो मैंने आपको बताया कि हम plagiarism यहाँ चेक कर रहे हैं, तो I am single-handedly taking decisions कि ये मैं हटाती हूँ, exclude करती हूँ, and this I'll keep for the promotion process जो पुराने हम इनके research articles teachers के check कर रहे हैं. So it gets very difficult and onus lies on me because I am excluding or I am including in the similarity. अब किसी का 30% है और मैंने जो अपने इंटेलेक्ट के हिसाब से मैंने कुछ कम कर दिया, एक्सक्लूड कर दिया, जो मुझे लगता है इट शुड नॉट बी इन द सिमिलैरिटी इंडेक्स, तो अब वो 12% आ गया. देन I mean the person or the candidate whomsoever is sitting with me getting it done, so they pressurize us also कि नहीं 12 से थोड़ा नीचे ले आओ, so that gets very difficult. So is there no guideline regarding this कि there should be kind of team or committee who will decide that this could be included and this should be excluded?
You know, you are there just as a help. You
Yeah.
are the person who knows it. The decision lies on the person. If it is a PhD thesis, it is a supervisor. If it is an article, it is the person who has authored the article.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
You are just acting on the behalf of the software. You are just acting as an expert in the software. You are not an expert in the subject.
Yeah, right. That is what I was worrying about.
Yeah, you are a facilitator. You are not the expert.
We are just a tool mapper. We are using that tool only.
Yeah, you are a facilitator.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
This is my personal opinion.
Thank you, sir. Sheena, you can continue.
Yes, I think that are there any more questions that we have from the audience? Anybody who has any observation, anything to add?
I
I
don't
think,
there is-
yeah, I think sir has been extremely comprehensive in his talk. So we might as well just, conclude the program because the talk was extremely comprehensive. It was extremely elaborate. We could understand each and everything very, very properly. Thank you so much for giving us your time and engaging with us in this discussion as well. May I now please request Mrs. Veena Sharma ma'am to say a few words.
Thank you, Dr. Sheena. Good afternoon to all of you. I, on behalf of Vivekanand College and its library and the organizing team of this event, our IPSC committee, would say thanks to all of you. And आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव के दौरान करते हैं हम आभार आप सभी का. निरंतर प्रगति करें पुस्तकालय, अग्रिम पंक्ति में हो पुस्तकालय, विश्वविद्यालय हो या महाविद्यालय, या हो हमारे वरिष्ठ सहयोगी, अपना स्नेह सहयोग आशीर्वाद बनाए रखना. इसी आशा के साथ हम आज अपना ये प्रोग्राम ओवर करते हैं. एंड वंस अगेन आई थैंक टू डॉक्टर जयदीप शर्मा, डॉक्टर प्रदीप राय, आवर प्रिंसिपल मैम डॉक्टर हीना मैम, एंड our team member Dr. Sheena Lamba, Miss Vandana Rathore, and dear participants. And in last, I would say, use mask, maintain social distancing, stay healthy, stay safe, and thank you and good afternoon to all of you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
ma'am. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much, Veena ma'am. Veena
Thank
ma'am is our professional assistant in the library, and she has been extremely, extremely resourceful, wonderful, amazingly supportive. So we thank you also, ma'am. All of you have been extremely kind to call me Dr. Sheena Lama, but I'm still Miss Sheena Lama, which is why I was so excited about the whole program because it's going to help me through and through my PhD. So certainly when I add a doctor to my name, I think I will be grateful to Dr. Jaydeep and Dr. Pradeep very much. Thank you for being so humble as to add this prefix before my name.
Lama, that she would be Dr. Sheena Lama in future, very shortly.
Absolutely, and that is why I'm saying that this, webinar as such was extremely, helpful for me, and I'm thankful for all of you for being so humble and kind. I once again request all of you to kindly fill the feedback form. We highly regret the inconvenience. I have just sent the feedback form once again. The latest one, you all can please click on and fill your details, which we will use to provide you feedback forms. Now I give the charge to Sana once again to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we come to the end of this lively gathering. We would like to extend a very hearty vote of thanks to our honorable guest of honor, Dr. Pradeep Rai sir, and the respected speaker, Dr. Jaydeep Sharma sir, who spared time from their busy schedule to grace the occasion. Thank you to both of you, sir, for gracing us with your presence and delivering a very thought-provoking and interesting session. I would also like to thank our officiating principal, Dr. Hina Nandajog, for providing immense support to make the webinar successful. I extend my gratitude to Dr. Rajni Jindal ma'am and Mrs. Veena Sharma ma'am. Without their resourcefulness and support, this event wouldn't have taken its shape. We also thank the convener of the IQAC, Dr. Vinita Sondi, our guiding light, who couldn't be with us today. Lastly, thanks to all the faculty members and participants for being with us.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank you,
Sana,
ma'am.
to you too. And thank you, everybody, for being a part of this wonderful webinar. I hope that we all meet once again very soon for such thought-provoking webinars organized by our very resourceful library. Thank you.
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Sir,
Thank you, Jaydeep sir. Thank you,
I-
Rajni
I
ma'am.
think
Thank you so
Rajni ma'am
much.
has something to say.
Anuradha Gupta madam ko namaskar. Thank you, ma'am.
Rajni ma'am, I think, wants to say something. Rajni ma'am.
Jaideep sir, I am just requesting you to provide your PPT to us. We will upload it on our YouTube channel.
Sure. I'll
It will
provide.
be very helpful for all of us,
Okay,
sir.
I'll mail it to you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank
I
you.
hope that everybody has filled the feedback form. I once again reiterate, kindly fill it, please. Thank you so much. We shall meet once again very soon virtually for another such session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
अच्छा जी, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. Bye bye.
Sanjeev sir. Sanjeev sir.